You know, usually when we try to picture a crime scene, our minds immediately go to a physical, tangible space.
Right, like a locked room.
Yeah, exactly. We imagine a chalk outline on a sidewalk or, yellow police tape stretched across a doorway in a quiet neighborhood.
A traditional crime scene has borders. It's bound by geography.
Right. But today, we are stepping onto a completely different kind of crime scene for this deep dive.
One that doesn't have physical walls.
Exactly. It has no geographical borders at all. We are looking at a space built entirely out of pixels, search engine algorithms, and honestly, the absolute darkest corners of human vanity.
We are entering a landscape where the audience is not just a passive observer consuming the news after the fact.
Which is how it usually works, right?
Yeah, typically. But in this digital environment, the audience, the clicks, the shares, they actually become an active component of the crime itself.
That is such a disturbing thought.
It really is. We are examining a digital ecosystem where infamy becomes a literal currency, traded and leveraged by someone who understood exactly how to manipulate the machinery of the internet.
And that brings us to the mission of today's deep dive. We are opening up a massive dossier today.
It's a huge collection of international news reports, forensic psychiatric evaluations, police timelines.
And digital footprints. Tons of them. They all detail the case of a Canadian killer named Luka Magnotta.
And we should probably give a warning right up front.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to speak directly to you, the listener, right at the top of this. This is a heavy, dark exploration.
We are going to be discussing extreme cruelty, both to animals and to a human being.
But it is a vital exploration into how extreme criminality intersects with our modern digital age.
Because we aren't just looking at how a killer used the internet to hide his tracks.
No, we are looking at how he used it to facilitate, orchestrate, and glorify his crimes for an audience. Okay, this Magnotta dossier, it's probably one of the most chilling examples of seeking fame at any cost that I've ever seen. He didn't just want to be known. He wanted to be known for something awful.
To understand the sheer scale of that desire, we really have to look at the foundation of his psychology before the violence ever started.
Right, before anyone knew his name.
Exactly. The dossier shows us a portrait of someone who was originally a failed seeker of traditional fame.
He wanted to be a star.
He desperately wanted the validation of being a celebrity, a model, someone the world admired.
But reality didn't cooperate.
No, it didn't. When the traditional avenues of reality denied him that validation, he made a very calculated pivot.
He went online.
He did. He recognized a flaw in the digital world. He realized the internet does not distinguish between good attention and bad attention.
Wow. Yeah, a search engine doesn't care if 1 million people are looking you up because you won an Oscar, or if they're looking you up because they despise you.
Exactly. It only measures engagement.
It just clicks.
Yeah.
The algorithm is completely agnostic to morality.
Which is terrifying when someone figures out how to weaponize it.
But before we get into how he weaponized those algorithms, we need to understand who he was before he built this digital empire. We need to look at the baseline.
Well, his baseline is pretty chaotic. He wasn't born Luka Magnotta.
Right.
He was born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman in 1982 in Scarborough, Ontario.
And looking through these early biographical notes, it paints a picture of a life that was just unstable almost from the start.
The instability is a consistent thread in his file. His parents divorced when he was young, and his father was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1994.
That's a lot for a kid to deal with.
It is. He experienced a very fractured upbringing, eventually moving in with his grandmother.
But the critical data point in this early period isn't just the instability, right?
No, it's how he learned to interact with the world.
Because by his early 20s, there is this clear, documented pattern of exploiting other people for his own material gain.
Long before any physical violence enters the picture.
Yeah, the 2005 fraud conviction jumps right off the page here.
It's a very telling incident.
He's still operating under his birth name, Eric Newman, at this point. And what he does is incredibly predatory.
He targets a woman with a developmental disability.
Which is just, it's so low. He manipulates her, convinces her to apply for various credit cards, and then he completely drains them.
He uses those cards to defraud major retail chains.
Places like Sears, The Brick, audio-video stores. He racks up nearly $17,000 in fraudulent charges.
That conviction is a crucial psychological marker. It demonstrates a fundamental lack of empathy.
Because he's not seeing her as a person.
Exactly. He views other people, particularly vulnerable people, not as human beings with their own inner lives, but as instruments.
Just tools to be used for his own gratification.
Following that conviction, the court ordered him to attend a mental health treatment program.
The dossier suggests that didn't help.
Quite the opposite. Instead of rehabilitation, this period is when his grandiosity truly begins to metastasize.
He realizes that the name Eric Newman is a convicted fraudster with a tarnished record.
It doesn't fit the glamorous image he has of himself. So in 2006, he legally changes his name to Luka Magnotta.
He completely rebrands. He's shedding the skin of the small-time criminal and trying to birth this new, untouchable persona.
And he tries really hard to make it real. He tries to break into modeling.
He acts in a few adult films, right?
He does. He even auditions for a reality television show about plastic surgery called Plastic Makes Perfect.
I mean, he is throwing everything at the wall, trying to get the entertainment industry to look at him.
But the tragic irony for him is that, well, nobody cares.
Yeah. The industry observers in the dossier note that his output in the adult film industry wasn't prolific, he wasn't high profile, and he just wasn't generating any real buzz.
Reality TV didn't want him. The modeling world didn't want him.
And for someone like him, that's unacceptable.
For an individual with severe narcissistic traits, being ignored is psychologically intolerable.
It's worse than being hated.
It is a fate worse than death. If the real world refuses to applaud him, the narcissist's defense mechanism is to manufacture an alternate reality where the applause is deafening.
And this is the moment where the architecture of his digital narcissism is really laid down.
Investigators later uncovered that he was maintaining upwards of 70 different Facebook pages.
70?
Yes. And 20 individual websites simultaneously.
That number is staggering.
Yeah.
70 Facebook pages. Just thinking about the logistics of that.
It's a massive amount of work.
Right. Managing the logins, the passwords, the email addresses required to set those up in the late 2000s, it would be a full-time job.
And these weren't pages run by actual fans.
No, this was a massive orchestrated campaign of what cyber investigators refer to as sock puppetry.
Sock puppetry is a deceptive strategy where one person creates and controls multiple fake online identities.
What's the end goal of that?
The goal is to create an illusion of consensus or popularity. If you see one person saying Luka Magnotta is a great model, you ignore it.
Sure, it's just one weird comment.
But if you see 50 different people from all over the world saying it, the human brain is tricked into thinking it must be true.
So he essentially constructed an entire fake social universe where he was the sun.
Exactly.
The granular details of these sock puppets are fascinating and honestly deeply unsettling when you look closely at them.
Because he put a lot of thought into them.
He did. He wasn't just creating bots. He was writing little fictional lives for these accounts, all designed to serve his ego.
There was one account he named Louise Rebecca Sanchez.
Oh yeah, I read about her in the file. He filled out her profile to describe her as a caring mother and wife living in Detroit.
But if you actually looked at her page, there were 0 pictures of this supposed family.
None. She had no interactions with anyone from Detroit.
And under her activities and interests section, the only thing listed was
Luka Magnotta.
Yep.
It's so creepy.
He was curating a captive audience. He created pages that boldly proclaimed him the new James Dean.
He generated avatars with names like Rebecca White, Adrian Valencia, Ben Strong.
But these puppets served a dual purpose. They weren't just a choir singing his praises.
What else were they doing?
They were a weaponized digital militia. He used these fake personas to aggressively attack his detractors and flood message boards with misinformation.
So if a real person on a forum criticized his modeling pictures or called him out,
His army of fake personas would swarm them, defending him and attacking the critic.
wow, he was essentially his own PR firm and his own mob.
And he was incredibly savvy about how social media algorithms worked back then.
The dossier details how he would use these fake profiles to mass friend real people who had listed interest in luxury lifestyles.
Right. He would target users who like high-end sports cars, yachting, designer fashion.
He was trying to legitimize his fake profiles by associating them with real wealth and status.
It is a textbook search engine optimization manipulation strategy.
SEO manipulation in, like, 2007.
We have to remember how search engines like Google operated around 2007 to 2010.
They weren't as sophisticated as today.
No, the algorithms heavily weighted backlinks and keyword associations. Magnotta understood this perfectly.
So by creating 20 distinct websites and having them all link back to each other,
And constantly using keywords like Luka Magnotta, James Dean, supermodel, and luxury.
he was artificially inflating his own relevance.
He was gaming the internet's architecture to force his name to the top of search results.
But the most audacious example of this manipulation is, without a doubt, the 2007 Homolka hoax.
That was a turning point.
I had to read this section of the dossier 3 times because the audacity is just off the charts.
It's hard to believe it worked.
For the listener, just for context, Karla Homolka is one of Canada's most notorious convicted killers.
She was involved in horrific crimes in the early 90s.
Yeah. And in 2007, Magnotta decides that the fastest way to get his name in the papers isn't through modeling.
It's through association with infamy.
So he uses his sock puppet to deliberately plant rumors on various online forums that he is in a romantic relationship with Karla Homolka.
He even attempts to edit her Wikipedia page to list himself as her husband.
The mechanics of the hoax reveal a profound understanding of media manipulation.
Because he doesn't just go to the press and claim he's dating her.
Right, that would be easily dismissed. A newspaper would just say, "Who is this guy?" and hang up.
Exactly. Instead, he seeds the rumor in the digital grassroots. He waits for the amateur true crime communities to pick it up, debate it, and spread it.
He creates a fire and waits for the smoke to be seen.
And the smoke gets seen.
It does. The rumor gains so much traction online that mainstream media outlets, actual newspapers like the Toronto Sun, assign reporters to investigate it.
They reach out to him.
And this is the brilliant, twisted part of his strategy. He grants them an interview.
Just so he can deny the rumor.
Yes. He gets to sit down with the reporter and say, "No, I'm not dating this serial killer. My life is ruined by these rumors."
By issuing the denial, he ensures that a legitimate, high-ranking news website publishes an article.
An article with a headline containing both Luka Magnotta and Karla Homolka.
He permanently bonded his name to hers in the search engine index.
It is a masterclass in manufacturing infamy.
But it also provides a clear window into his pathology.
Right, because later psychiatric evaluations diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder featuring histrionic traits.
Alongside severe narcissistic and antisocial personality disorders.
Okay, let's unpack this. If he had these underlying disorders, did the internet create this monster? Or did it simply provide a frictionless megaphone for a pathology that already existed?
That question is at the absolute center of the forensic psychological debate surrounding this case.
What's the general consensus?
The consensus is that the pathology, the deep-seated narcissism, the lack of empathy, the histrionic need for an audience was absolutely pre-existing.
So the internet did not invent his cruelty?
No. However, the internet acted as a unique and unprecedented catalyst.
How so?
Consider an analog world. A grandiose narcissist who fails at modeling might just become a local nuisance.
Like someone telling tall tales at a bar.
Exactly. But the internet removed all geographical boundaries. It gave him a global stage, immediate feedback, and a system that actively rewarded his transgressive behavior.
It rewarded him with the one metric he craved: attention.
It didn't create the monster, but it built the perfect ecosystem for him to thrive.
And looking at his digital footprint during this era, the warning signs he was leaving are chilling.
He was getting darker.
Much darker. He wasn't just manipulating SEO anymore. He was testing the waters of absolute darkness.
The dossier highlights his profile on vContact Day.
Which is a major social media platform in Russia, essentially their equivalent of Facebook.
Right. And if you go to the personal information section of a profile,
the place where you'd normally list your favorite movies, your hobbies, or what kind of music you like.
Magnotta typed the Russian phrase for serial killer.
And he didn't just type it once as a dark joke.
No, he copied and pasted it. He repeated it 7 times.
7 times.
It functions as a declaration of intent, hiding behind the veil of an edgy online persona.
He is pushing the boundaries, waiting to see what kind of reaction he can elicit from the void.
But the manufactured rumors, the fake Facebook friends, the edgy profile tags, they eventually suffer from diminishing returns.
Right. People get bored.
The algorithm and his own ego demand constant escalation. He realized that to maintain the spotlight, he needed to provide content that was so visceral, so shocking, that it could not possibly be ignored.
It's hard to wrap your head around, but it all started with those videos of the kittens. The text says he was literally engineering these scenarios just to provoke a reaction online. The attention was the goal.
The timeline shifts dramatically beginning in 2010.
It goes from weird to violent.
The progression from digital manipulation like the Homolka hoax to physical documented violence is marked by a series of extreme acts of animal cruelty.
He filmed and uploaded a video titled "One Boy, Two Kittens."
In this video, he placed 2 kittens into a plastic bag.
And used a vacuum cleaner to suffocate them. filming the entire agonizing process.
The cruelty is unimaginable.
And the fact that he named the video using a naming convention popular in shock video culture.
Mimicking other infamous, grotesque, viral videos of the time.
Yeah, it shows he knew exactly what subculture he was targeting. He wanted it to go viral on the darkest corners of the web.
And he didn't stop there.
No. The videos progressed in severity and production value.
He drowned a cat in a bathtub.
He filmed himself feeding a live kitten to a python.
These weren't impulsive acts of rage.
They were highly produced, calculated pieces of shock content.
In the realm of forensic psychology and criminology, animal cruelty of this nature is a massive, flashing red flag.
The FBI tracks this, right?
They have for decades. They formalized it in their behavioral analysis frameworks that animal cruelty is a primary warning sign of potentially dangerous, escalating criminal conduct toward humans.
It is highly predictive.
The cruelty often serves as a rehearsal.
Like a practice run.
Yes, a way for the offender to test their own capacity for violence, to refine their methods, and to experience the power dynamic of life and death.
The dossier mentions the Columbine killers, for example. They exhibited a clear escalation from torturing small animals to mass murder.
Magnotta's videos were what sociologists call transgressive performances.
He was deliberately violating the most deeply held societal taboos involving innocence and cruelty.
Solely to see how loud the internet would scream.
And the internet screamed incredibly loudly.
It absolutely did.
These videos triggered a massive, visceral mobilization of people online.
Amateur sleuths, animal rights activists, just regular internet users from across the globe who stumbled onto this horror.
They were outraged, and they formed decentralized online groups determined to find out the true identity of the man they dubbed the vacuum kitten killer.
This is where we see the collision of digital vigilantism and institutional realities.
Because the cops weren't acting as fast as the internet was.
While these online communities were frantically analyzing frames of video to identify him, the official institutional response was lagging significantly behind.
Why is that?
Law enforcement agencies, historically, have often categorized animal cruelty as a lower priority crime compared to human violence.
Plus, the jurisdiction issues must be a nightmare.
Exactly. Navigating international cyber jurisdictions to subpoena IP addresses or compel websites to hand over user data for an animal cruelty charge is an incredibly complex, slow-moving bureaucratic process.
I want you, the listener, to just put yourself in the shoes of those activists for a second.
That must have been infuriating.
Imagine the sheer agonizing helplessness of that situation.
Right.
You are watching these horrific warning signs being broadcast publicly to the whole world.
You are watching a clear psychological escalation.
You know, just logically that someone doing this for an audience is not going to stop at kittens.
An escalation is imminent.
You are compiling evidence, handing it to the authorities on a silver platter, but the bureaucratic wheels are turning at a glacial pace.
And the most terrifying part, Magnotta knew it too.
He was watching the activists watch him. He was taunting them.
A British journalist actually managed to track down an email address for him and reached out to ask about the kitten videos.
Magnotta replied.
He did.
He wrote an email stating, "In the near future, you will be hearing from me again. This time, however, the victims won't be small animals."
He is openly telegraphing his leap to homicide.
It's a promise.
The digital feedback loop of outrage, horror, and frantic searching that he received from the animal videos empowered him.
He felt untouchable by the police, but completely validated by the audience.
He realized a dark formula. The more transgressive the act, the greater the fame.
The algorithm of human outrage rewarded him.
And he decided to give the algorithm exactly what it demanded.
But then he actually escalates. The murder of Jun Lin, it wasn't just a brutal killing. He filmed it. He dispatched parts of the body. He was treating the whole horrific thing like some kind of twisted art performance for the internet.
Before we discuss the mechanics of what he did, we must center the victim.
Yes, absolutely.
It is vital to understand the gravity of the life that Magnotta destroyed for the sake of his own vanity.
Jun Lin was a 33-year-old international student from Wuhan, China.
The dossier compiles interviews with his friends and family, describing him as a deeply hardworking, optimistic, and romantic young man.
He was studying engineering and computer science at Concordia University in Montreal.
He had come to Canada seeking a better future, a place where he could build a life and live authentically.
He was building that life step by step. He was working part-time at a local convenience store to support his studies.
He had just moved into a new apartment in the Griffintown area of Montreal.
He had recently gone through a breakup and, like millions of other people, was using online dating platforms to meet new people.
The dossier notes that Magnotta claimed he and Lin met after Lin responded to a Craigslist advertisement.
The ad was explicitly proposing sex and bondage.
On the evening of May 24th, 2012, security surveillance video captures Jun Lin walking into Magnotta's apartment building.
And tragically, he is never seen walking out.
What occurred inside Magnotta's apartment, apartment 208, was a meticulously planned theatrical atrocity.
When Montreal police eventually entered that second-floor bachelor unit days later, they were overwhelmed.
The sensory details in the crime scene reports are harrowing,
There was a strong, overpowering chemical smell of cleaning agents.
which failed to mask the distinct, undeniable odor of a decomposing body.
The visual scene was a nightmare of evidence. A pink bedsheet entirely soaked in blood, a purple shower curtain streaked with blood splatter.
The police started checking the alleyway behind the building.
And when they went through the municipal garbage bags outside, they found what can only be described as a discarded prop department from a horror film.
Bloodstained clothes, a hammer, knives.
A small circular saw, a screwdriver.
This wasn't a crime of sudden passion or a robbery gone wrong.
No, it was a production. He literally turned a murder into a snuff film.
He uploaded an 11-minute video to a specialized gore website based in Alberta, Canada.
The video, which he titled One Lunatic One Ice Pick, documented the murder, the dismemberment, and horrific acts of post-mortem desecration and necrophilia.
But from a forensic psychological standpoint, what is most crucial is how the video was constructed.
What do you...
If this were a crime of pure frenzy, the footage would be raw, chaotic, and continuous.
It's a single shaking camera shot.
Exactly, but it wasn't. The video was carefully edited.
He cut between different angles and moments in time.
He laid a specific synchronized musical track over the footage.
The 1987 song True Faith by the band New Order.
This is where the sheer narcissism and the cinematic delusion merge in the sickest way possible.
During the trial, the prosecution painstakingly proved that the entire murder was a premeditated homage to the 1992 Hollywood thriller Basic Instinct.
If you look at the background of the murder video, prominently displayed on his apartment wall is a poster for the classic film Casablanca.
Furthermore, the weapon he used, the police recovered it from the trash. It wasn't actually an ice pick.
It was a standard screwdriver
That Magnotta had intentionally painted silver. He modified it so it would look exactly like the ice pick wielded by Sharon Stone's character, Catherine Trammell, in the movie's famous opening murder scene.
He is deliberately blurring the lines between cinematic fiction and his own reality.
He is not just a killer. He is casting himself as the lead actor in a movie he is simultaneously directing and producing.
And like any producer, he ensured his film had a marketing strategy to maximize distribution.
10 days before the murder of Jun Lin even took place, promos, vague threats, and references to an upcoming video were appearing on obscure online forums.
He was seeding the ground.
It's exactly like a macabre content release strategy.
Think about how a major movie studio operates today.
You don't just drop a movie in theaters. You drop teaser trailers online weeks in advance to build hype.
Then you have the premiere.
Which in this case was uploading the full edited video to the Gore site.
But he didn't stop at digital distribution.
No, he realized that the internet alone wasn't enough to guarantee global headlines.
He added a physical, multi-platform marketing campaign to this horror show.
The dossier refers to it as postal terrorism.
That phrase accurately captures the intent. He dismembered Jun Lin's remains, but he didn't just dispose of them to hide evidence.
He packaged them.
He wrapped the body parts in pink tissue paper, placed them inside boxes, and included twisted, taunting poems inside the packages.
He then went to a post office and mailed these packages across the country.
But the logistics of this are deeply disturbing.
On May 29th, a receptionist working at the Conservative Party of Canada headquarters in Ottawa opens a blood-soaked package to find a human foot.
Just hours later, at a Canada Post sorting warehouse, another package, this one addressed to the Liberal Party headquarters, is intercepted and found to contain a hand.
Note that we are just reporting the facts of the case here without any political bias. He targeted both major parties.
And he didn't just target political institutions.
A week later, 2 more packages arrive on the other side of the country, in Vancouver.
One arrives at St. George's School, containing a hand.
And another arrives at False Creek Elementary School, containing a foot.
We must look at the selection of those targets analytically.
By those places.
By targeting the federal headquarters of the major political parties And by targeting elementary schools on the opposite coast, he guaranteed a specific reaction.
He ensured that this wasn't going to be treated as a local Montreal homicide.
He forced the entire nation's political apparatus, the national media, and subsequently the global press to look at him.
He achieved his ultimate goal of terrifying, inescapable visibility.
Which inevitably brings us to the legal aftermath.
When the physical chase ends, the psychological one begins in the courtroom.
We are jumping ahead slightly to 2014 here.
Right. Magnotta has been captured. He's sitting in a Montreal courtroom, and his defense strategy is fascinating.
He doesn't deny the physical acts.
He fully admits to the jury that he killed and dismembered Jun Lin.
But he pleads not guilty by way of mental disorder.
His defense team claims he suffered a complete schizophrenic break from reality.
The trial, which was presided over by Justice Guy Cournoyer, essentially transformed into a high-stakes battle of psychiatric interpretation.
The defense relied heavily on the testimony of Dr. Marie-Frédérique Allard.
She constructed a narrative based on his medical history, pointing out that Magnotta had a documented diagnosis of schizophrenia dating back to 2000.
She presented evidence that he had stopped taking his prescribed antipsychotic medication sometime in 2010.
Her argument to the jury was that during the time of the murder, Magnotta was in a profound state of psychosis, unable to distinguish right from wrong.
The defense leaned heavily into this concept of a voice named Manny.
Magnotta told the psychiatrist that Manny was a real person, an abusive client from his past as an escort.
He claimed that on the night of the murder, Manny was physically present in the apartment, hallucinated or real.
And that Manny was the one orchestrating the event, urging him and forcing him to commit the murder against his will.
To counter this, the prosecution brought in their own psychiatric expert, Dr. Giles Chamberlain.
Dr. Chamberlain methodically dismantled the defense's narrative of a helpless psychotic break.
He argued that Magnotta was not suffering from disorganized paranoia or debilitating hallucination.
Instead, he argued that Magnotta's actions were driven entirely by that toxic cocktail of personality disorders we discussed earlier.
The narcissistic, histrionic, and antisocial disorders. Okay, I think we need to clarify this for the listener because the distinction is the hinge of the whole trial.
It is a vital distinction.
What is the clinical difference between a schizophrenic psychotic break, which the defense claimed, and a personality disorder, which the prosecution claimed?
A schizophrenic psychotic break involves a severe loss of contact with reality.
The person doesn't know it's real.
Exactly. The individual experiences delusions, auditory or visual hallucinations, and deeply disorganized thinking.
Their behavior becomes chaotic, unpredictable, and illogical.
They often struggle to complete basic, multi-step tasks because their cognitive processing is so fractured by the psychosis.
And a personality disorder.
A personality disorder, on the other hand, does not imply a break from reality.
So they know what's going on.
A narcissist or an antisocial personality knows exactly what reality is, and they know the difference between right and wrong.
They simply do not care.
Their behavior is driven by deeply ingrained, rigid patterns of manipulation, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy.
They are fully capable of complex, logical planning to achieve their malicious goals.
So how does the prosecution prove it was personality, not psychosis? How do they prove he was tethered to reality?
They looked at the digital trail and the sheer logistical complexity of the crime.
Dr. Chamberlain pointed out the immense organization required to execute this sequence of events.
Because a person in the throes of a debilitating psychotic break cannot manage this level of project coordination.
But Magnotta was highly calculated. He went to the hardware store and bought specific tools.
He set up lighting and a camera. He committed the murder, transferred the digital files to a computer, used editing software to cut the video.
He selected a specific soundtrack, synchronized it, and navigated the dark web to upload it.
He didn't just stumble out into the street covered in blood.
He cleaned up the apartment, at least enough to delay discovery.
He bagged the evidence, threw the tools in the municipal trash, went to a post office with properly addressed packages, and then he booked a round-trip international flight to Paris using his real passport.
Navigating airport security and fleeing the continent.
That doesn't look like someone lost in a terrifying hallucination. That looks like a producer wrapping a film shoot and going on a press tour.
Precisely. The logic of his actions betrayed his defense.
Furthermore, the prosecution presented the jury with the reality of Manny.
Manny was not a hallucination generated by a broken mind.
No, Manny was a fictional character stolen from a movie script.
In Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone's character has a fiancé named Manny Vasquez.
Magnotta simply lifted the name and the conceptual framework from the movie.
He used Manny as a convenient narrative device to deflect legal responsibility when speaking to the psychiatrists.
He was playing a character for the doctors, just as he played characters for his digital audience.
Ultimately, the jury saw through the performance. They recognized the cold calculation.
On December 23, 2014, they found him guilty of first-degree murder, along with all the other charges.
But while the police and the courts were the ones who eventually secured the conviction, we have to talk about how the investigation actually started.
What's really wild is that regular people online, not the cops, were the ones who actually put the pieces together first. They used the smallest details from his videos to track him down long before the murder of Jun Lin ever happened.
The Magnotta case is widely considered a landmark moment in the evolution of citizen sleuthing.
Decentralized networks of amateur investigators operating on Facebook groups and forums.
Groups with names like For Great Justice and the established animal rights organization Last Chance for Animals, or LCA.
They essentially crowdsourced an international manhunt.
They achieved forensic breakthroughs that are studied by cybersecurity experts today.
It's mind-blowing forensic work, especially considering these were just regular people sitting at their laptops in their living rooms.
They didn't have access to Interpol databases, they couldn't run DNA, they couldn't subpoena internet service providers.
They had to rely entirely on open-source intelligence and visual analysis.
Let's talk about how they did this, because the methodology is incredible.
For instance, the vacuum cleaner in the kitten video. They didn't just say, oh, it's a yellow vacuum.
No, they conducted an exhaustive visual audit. They freeze-framed the video and crowdsourced the identification of that specific vacuum.
They identified it as a specific model manufactured by the brand Wolf.
By cross-referencing appliance sales data and catalogs, they determined that this specific model of Wolf vacuum was only sold at specific retailers in North America.
Instantly, they narrowed down his geographical location from the entire globe to a single continent.
And they did the same thing with the bedsheet scene in another video.
They matched the specific geometric pattern of the fabric to a line of bedding sold exclusively at a North American discount retail chain.
But the most impressive piece of sleuthing to me was the electrical outlets.
The electrical outlets were the definitive geolocator.
In the background of one of the videos, a wall outlet is briefly visible.
The sleuths analyzed the shape of the prongs and the voltage configuration, confirming it was a standard North American 120-volt outlet.
But they went further. They analyzed the specific style of the baseboard heating unit beneath the outlet.
By scouring real estate listings and apartment rental sites, they matched that specific architectural combination to apartment buildings in the Montreal area.
They were literally zeroing in on his building based on background pixels.
And when Magnotta went on the run after the murder of Jun Lin, these groups didn't stop.
They anticipated his psychology.
Last Chance for Animals initiated what cyber investigators call a honey trap.
They knew Magnotta's history. They knew he possessed an insatiable, narcissistic obsession with reading about himself.
So LCA's Special Investigations Unit created custom websites and videos specifically designed to lure him in while he was hiding in Europe.
They engineered the bait perfectly. They uploaded videos with SEO-optimized titles like The James Dean Killer and One Man, One Icon.
They populated these sites with unreleased, rare family photos of him that they had managed to dig up.
They knew that his ego would not allow him to ignore new content about his own mythos.
You wouldn't be able to resist clicking to see what people were saying.
And the strategy worked flawlessly. The analytics on those honey trap sites pinged.
They registered hits coming from IP addresses in France and then Germany, precisely tracking his movements across Europe while he was on the run.
It's brilliant, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, looking at the whole phenomenon of the amateur sleuths, it forces us into a really uncomfortable conversation.
The documentary Don't Fuck with Cats explores this brilliantly, and the dossier touches on it too. It's the voyeurism question.
The sleuths were absolutely correct about Magnotta, and their investigative work was stellar.
But did their intense pursuit, the fact that thousands of people were obsessively tracking his every digital move, actually provide Magnotta with the audience he was starving for?
It is the defining ethical paradox of the digital age.
The sleuths were motivated by a genuine desire for justice and the protection of the innocent.
However, from Magnotta's pathological perspective, the intent of the attention didn't matter.
The volume of the attention did.
We must critically examine the possibility that the internet's obsession inadvertently fueled his narcissistic need to escalate.
Did he move from animals to a human being? specifically to maintain his grip on that spotlight.
It's an agonizing thought.
On one hand, the authorities weren't listening when the activists were screaming, "This guy is escalating. He is going to kill a human."
The internet was the only alarm bell ringing.
On the other hand, the internet was the auditorium he was performing for.
And the dossier points out the very real dangers of this kind of decentralized mob justice.
At one point during the frantic online search, the community misidentified a man.
They wrongly accused an innocent person of being the killer, harassing him and his family.
It highlights how incredibly volatile digital vigilantism can be when it operates without the procedural safeguards, the burden of proof, and the evidentiary rules of the legal system.
The institutional lag in this case is a profound systemic failure.
The fact that law enforcement initially dismissed the animal cruelty videos as potential fakes or low-priority offenses gave Magnotta a crucial, uninterrupted window to plan his escalation.
However, it is worth noting that this specific case forced a global reckoning within police departments.
It demonstrated the absolute necessity of monitoring online shock videos, understanding cyber jurisdictions, and taking civilian open-source intelligence seriously.
Once the murder occurred and the institutions finally mobilized, the manhunt became a massive, highly coordinated international effort.
The timeline of that official manhunt is incredibly frantic. Let's trace his steps.
On May 25th, the murder occurs.
On May 26th, before the body is even discovered, Magnotta is already at the airport, boarding a flight to Paris, France.
On May 29th, the torso is discovered in Montreal, the packages arrive in Ottawa, and Jun Lin's friends report him missing.
By May 31st, the dots are connected, and Interpol issues a red notice.
A red notice is the highest level of alert issued by Interpol.
It is essentially a global request to law enforcement agencies worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition.
It means his face and his aliases were instantly circulated to border controls and police forces in 190 different countries.
He was officially the most wanted man in the world.
In Paris, the French authorities are closing in.
They managed to trace a signal from his cell phone to a hotel in a suburb called Bagnolet.
But Magnotta is constantly moving. By the time the tactical units arrive at the hotel room, he's already checked out.
He leaves behind a bizarre assortment of items.
Yeah.
Pornographic magazines, and an air sickness bag from his flight from Canada.
Even while on the run from a global manhunt, he cannot abandon his cinematic delusions.
He checks into the hotel using a false passport, but the alias he chooses is Kirk Trammell.
He combined his own middle name, Kirk, with the last name of the killer from Basic Instinct, Catherine Trammell.
He is playing a game with the authorities.
He is spotted in bars in Paris. He is interacting with people he meets on dating sites. But as the police presence intensifies and his face is plastered on every European news broadcast, he realizes France is too hot.
He boards a Eurolines bus bound for Berlin, Germany.
In Berlin, he manages to secure lodging with a man named Frank Rubert, whom he met on a local dating site.
Rubert, completely oblivious to the international manhunt, has no idea he is hosting a murderer until he eventually sees Magnotta's face on the front page of a newspaper.
But the actual climax of the manhunt, the moment of capture, is almost anticlimactic in its setting.
Yet, if you understand his psychology, it is perfectly devastatingly fitting.
It is the ultimate testament to his pathology. After days on the run, he doesn't go to an underground club. He doesn't try to cross a border into a non-extradition country.
He goes to a place where he can access the internet.
And the way they catch him, in Berlin, in an internet cafe, literally reading news articles about himself, it shows you exactly where his priorities were right up until the end.
Wait, I should be the one to say that, right? The way they catch him in Berlin, in an internet cafe, literally reading news articles about himself, it shows you exactly where his priorities were right up until the end.
Sorry, yes. It occurred on June 4th, 2012.
An observant employee at the Helen Tellen und Internet Cafe on Karl Marx Strasse, a man named Kadir Unlaisli, happened to look at the customer sitting at terminal number 25.
He recognized Magnotta's distinctive cheekbones from a news report he had just read.
Magnotta had been sitting at that computer for 2 straight hours.
He wasn't looking up train schedules or contacting accomplices.
He was just scrolling through the international coverage of his own manhunt.
He was basking in his infamy.
The employee quietly stepped outside and flagged down a passing police patrol.
7 German police officers walk into the cafe and surround Terminal 25.
At first, he tries to play the game one last time. He gives them a few fake names, trying to sound confused.
But the officers press him, and then he just stops.
He takes off his sunglasses, looks at them, and says, "Okay, you got me. I'm Mr. Magnotta. I'm the man you're looking for."
There's no fight. There's no dramatic foot chase. He surrenders peacefully.
Because in his mind, the chase was over, the movie had reached its climax, and the spotlight had finally found him permanently.
The logistics of his return were unprecedented.
He was deemed too high profile and a potential security risk for a commercial airline.
He was brought back to Canada on a Royal Canadian Air Force military transport plane.
He stood trial, was convicted, and received a mandatory life sentence with no possibility of parole for 25 years.
So he gets life in prison, but he also got what he wanted.
Everyone knows his name now. The text leaves you with this big question about whether we, as an internet audience, somehow fueled his path to murder just by watching. We clicked on the rumors, we shared the news articles, we analyzed the background pixels.
He gave the digital predator his prey.
And that leaves us with a deeply unsettling concept to consider as we navigate the modern web.
We live in an era where algorithms are explicitly engineered to reward shock value, to prioritize engagement over context.
True crime content generates massive, unprecedented metrics.
The question we must ask ourselves is this: how do we ensure that our natural human curiosity about the dark side of psychology, our innate desire to understand these horrific acts, doesn't inadvertently become the very spotlight the next digital predator is desperately seeking?
We started this deep dive looking at a crime scene made of pixels. And the unsettling truth is, as long as we keep logging on, clicking, and watching, we're all standing right in the middle of it.